All right, what is up, everyone? We are live. Let's see. Start off with Jamie Schweitzer here. Nothing's really changed, so everybody's still kind of going back and forth on the missed calls or non-missed calls, whatever you want to call them, on the NASCAR finish at Indy. That's pretty much been the main story today so far, from what I've seen. Uh, even Dale Jr. has weighed in on it and some pushback. Potential poll question, says Jamie Schweitzer. Who's more likely to get their first win? KFB, Bubba, Baby Gibbs, or Truex? Sounds good to me. We'll put it up here. Let's start this poll question right now. Who are the other options up here? Bubs and Kyle Busch. All right, so there you go. That is the poll question. Who most likely gets their first win this year? Martin Truex Jr., Baby Gibbo, Bubs, or KB8? Pull us up, get your votes in now, and I will jump back into the chat and see what you guys want to talk about. Lanes is going with I'm either going with KFB or Martin Truex Jr. Yeah, I'm still on team KFB. I feel like I don't know. I feel like they're all pretty good options though. I feel like Tyler Gibbs is going to break through and get his first win pretty soon here as well. Martin Truex Jr. has done everything this season but win. And KFB, he's either going to wreck or wreck with some speed. So if he can ever make it to the end of one of these races where he's got some speed, he will have a chance to win. So definitely like all of those options. And then Bubba Wallace, he's either going to be really good, he's going to be really bad. He's had a string of really good races here recently to get himself back close to being inside that cutoff line, as long as nobody below them wins another race. Let's see. BB on Tuesday night, so much better than reality TV, says Bruce Carvey. Much appreciated, Bruce. Hit the like button like Bubba Wallace hits the wall, says Mark Barnum. Start your engines, let's go, says one wise guy. Oh no, the Wienermobile crashed. So there you go. Yeah, the old Wienermobile. They tried to rename that to the Frankfurter Mobile, and that was met with some controversy there. So I thought that was interesting too. That even that got some pushback because people just want to call it the Wienermobile, even this politically correct era. That let's see, up 26% in ratings and 28% viewership from last year. Apparently, because everybody stayed home to watch it because the stands. Whoo, boy, the stands were looking mighty atrocious. 2.1 rating, 3.63 million viewers on NBC. That's good. That's really good. That's the highest rated, most watched edition of the race since 2020. The previous year, when it took place on the traditional oval, 2.7, 4.3 million. The race was contested on a road course the prior 3 years and aired in August, obviously the NFL preseason in 2 of those 3 years. So there you go. There you go. Pretty cool. Uh, Kyle Larson's win, which peaked at 4.5 million viewers with the 5:45 p.m. Eastern quarter hour, moved to USA Network at 6 p.m. and averaged 1.3 to 2.3, 1.3 to 2.3 million during its half hour conclusion. That's from Sports Media Watch. That's where that information came from. So there you go. Up in the ratings, and that's always a positive story. And then I said I'm getting a beverage. Yeah, so I had to get a beverage here. Had to get a beverage here, man, because it's hot. It's hot today, without question. You seen that too, Mark, in Chicago. So apparently the Wienermobile crashed in Chicago. Let me pull that up because I hadn't heard that yet. Been been working on stuff, and I've been sort of out of the loop as far as everything goes here. Let me open a separate window here. Wienermobile crash in Chicago. Oh, it's on its side. It looks like it's a Mini Cooper. So that's a Mini Cooper based Wienermobile. I can see that from the footage right here. Oh my goodness, this is from the AP. Let's see. Oak Brook, Illinois, an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile got into a pickle on Chicago's highway. I like what they did there. Who's the author? Let's give him some props here. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? They're just going with They're just going with AP staff. They're just going with AP staff wrote this. So I can't give them proper credit for this one. So we'll just continue here. But it got into a pickle on the Chicago highway. The hot dog shaped Wienermobile hit a car. Oh, they hit a car morning alongside Interstate 294. Its driver lost control and overcorrected, causing it to roll onto its side near the Chicago suburb of Oak Brook. Illinois police said no injuries were reported after the crash, which prompted the closure of the right lane of northbound I 29/4 or I 294. I 294, I guess is what you would call it up there, for more than an hour. Official said. A spokesperson for the Oscar Mayer brand, which has had several Wienermobiles, told the Chicago Sun-Times it's grateful everybody involved is safe and there were no injuries. So no injuries. So we can laugh at the fact that it is laying sideways. And I'll grab the let's see here. I will grab the old I'll grab the link and drop it down in there so you guys can see what I was looking at there. Probably should have done that first, I guess, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, we're already off to a blazing start. A blazing start for NASCAR coverage. We're talking about Wienermobiles. This is peak. This is peak mid off season stream so far. Heading to Sonoma this weekend for the NHRA. That should be fun. That should be fun. I wish it was closer because that Sonoma is definitely one I've always wanted to go to. As far even for a cup race or anything like that. Let's see here. We have the heat wave, so it will be watching the Olympics here this weekend. Says Mark Barnum. Yeah, it's definitely hot outside. You running South Boston this weekend? Says one wise guy. Unfortunately, I don't think any of the guys are going to have their cars ready. Craig, obviously, if you follow the Discord, he wrecked. The other guys that we normally run there, one of them we were practicing at Orange County, and one of them cut a tire down. He's just got such bad luck and he destroyed his car again. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but he's definitely not going to be ready for South Boston this weekend. I think the move probably is going to be to go check out Hickory, the car store. They're doing the throwback race. So I'll either watch that on TV or if I'm feeling really froggy, I might drive up there and watch it, maybe film a little bit of it because they always do a pretty good job with paint schemes up there. So I don't know. But yeah, that's probably what's going on this weekend with me. We won't be racing anything, unfortunately. Unfortunately, hope Truex gets one more win. Says OJ and Toothpaste. Camaro saying good evening. What's up, Camaro? Hope you're doing good this evening as well. Yeah, Truex. I hope he does get one more win. I'm with you there, OJ and Toothpaste. I'm hoping Truex goes out. Since this is going to be his final season full time, I hope he does get a win. If not, if he can't get a win this year, hopefully when he's doing the part time deal, he can get a win that way. Team manager BB, when we arrive at Joe Gibbs Racing in November, I heard Christopher Bell got a new social media guy named Eric Eastep. He might have signed old Eastep to do a social media. Definitely couldn't hurt. We need to get the word out about Christopher Bell because he finished fourth in this race, and I don't think they said his name one single time in the entire broadcast. Like Christopher Bell disrespect, it needs to cease. He's a really good driver, and it needs to be. He needs to be getting just a little bit more press coverage than they actually give him right now. Did you see Chase found some 2311 notes on pit road and handed it over to Hamlin? Yeah, that was pretty cool. He saw it laying on the ground. He looked at it and he was like, "Oh, these are actual race notes." And he looked away from it and handed it to Denny Hamlin. And that was pretty much a stand-up move. Even Denny Hamlin said, "Hey, that's a stand-up move from a stand-up guy." So that was actually pretty cool. The other thing I saw is that a couple of guys ran out of gas. One of which I'm thinking is Corey LaJoy. So Corey LaJoy had to get a push from the trucks or whatever. And Bubba Wallace got a push from Kyle Busch, and somebody else got a push too. They had already crossed the start finish line, so their positions were locked. They just needed a push because they ran out after they actually had finished the race. So some other guys back there finished pushing them around the race. The reason I found that interesting is because I thought Kyle Busch was actually out of the race. I thought once you have a toe link break that you're out of the race, but apparently not. Apparently they got it fixed or whatever. So Kyle Busch actually did finish this race and got up to 25th. So came back from 2 laps down, got back on the lead lap to still finish poorly in 25th, but I didn't know he was still in the race, to be honest. I thought for sure the toe link damage had taken him out. In between the lanes saying social media guy. Yeah, I knew what you meant, my friend. Best team this season, I'd say, is HMS, says John Edward Kruger. Either them or Gibbs. It just kind of depends on the weekend. But you also, I don't know. There's some weeks that you can't sleep. I think that they've been the most consistent, but there's some weeks that you just can't sleep on, like RFK and Penske. Like RFK and Penske, just they seem to be like right there, and they're definitely. I would say Ford is the hottest right now in the last 10 or 15 races of all of them. WNBA outdrew NASCAR 3.4 million, says Mark Barnum. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. So we'll see how that plays out going forward. She might be that, for whatever reason, she might be that superstar, sort of like, I don't know, as far back as I can go with NBA, it was Magic and Larry Bird. They seem to have that magic deal. So maybe Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, maybe they've got that magic that can put the WNBA on the map. Because for the longest time, the WNBA just nobody had cared to watch it until those two got up in there for sure. Hello, BB and BB watchers, says Lovey Barkley. What's up, Lovey? Good to see you on here, my friend. One wise guy. I thought the playbook for EA College. It was the playbook for EA College Sports 2025. Yes, pretty cool that we finally got the college football game back. So I will say that a lot of people stoked about that, myself included. I like KB. I like KB for our next race. He's got good numbers at Richmond. He's definitely really good at Richmond for sure. It lost control, hit some mustard, says Mark Barnum, referring to the Wienermobile. Here in Cali, when the race switched to USA, NBC switched to some Impractical Jokers show, says OJ and Toothpaste. So yeah, that's kind of interesting that like it shouldn't have affected California. Because on the East Coast feed, they said California wouldn't be affected, but they still switched it anyway, which is kind of weird. Uh, East Coast, we got local news, and it was just so that they could talk about all the stuff that was going on politically or whatever. So I don't know. We live in an era with a 24-hour news cycle. The internet exists. I don't know why. I don't know why cable TV and stuff like that still switch to stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know. It is what it is though. They made their decision and you know, they did it for their reasons. I'm not going to tell them how to run their business, I guess is what I'm trying to get at here. Let's see. Deegan posted a video from Lime Rock today, says Mark Barnum. So that's pretty cool. She ran the Trans Am deal there the other week. So is it it could be the IROC deal that's up there this week. So we'll have to see what's going on with that. I got Baby Gibbo on the pole. None of the others are showing as much consistent speed. I think at least 2 weeks I was doing voodoo dances because I was worried that this is the week. Says Charlotte. Yeah, so yeah, Ty Gibbs, he's creeping on it. But that being said, he's had engine issues the last 2 races as well. So without the engine issues, I think for sure he probably would have won Pocono, in my opinion, just the way that car was. And I think the engine issues started cropping up. That's why he was having trouble in traffic more so than anything else. I think the engine was starting to sour on him. That's my theory. But I thought he had Pocono wrapped up, and I thought he probably had a pretty good car for Indy because typically those 2 tracks translate pretty well historically. But once again, engine problems. So they got to get that figured out. But once they do, I think he'll definitely be right in the mix, 100%. So some people love him, some people hate him. But either way, I think he's going to be getting a win here pretty soon. Greg Biffle, aka the Biff, does a nice job on YouTube. Yeah, he does have a really good YouTube channel. So good. I'm glad you pointed that out. Tyler Reddick just started a YouTube channel. I don't know how much content he's got on it, but Tyler Reddick has one now as well. Truex is ahead. Says Jamie Schweitzer, talking about in the poll, 47% right now. Thinking Truex is going to be the first to get that win. It's already Tuesday, and I'm still mad at Harrison Burton, says Say Kyle. So yeah, this season, Say Kyle has pointed this out to me. I wasn't super aware of this, but the Byron fandom has spoken up. For whatever reason, Harrison Burton and the 21 and the 24 are magnets this year. Whenever the 21 wrecks, unfortunately, it seems like the 24 is a part of that wreck. So that's been an interesting just turn of circumstances. Not anything on purpose, not anything intentional. It just happens to be that every time the 21 wrecks, a lot of times in those situations, it really affects the 24 in a super negative way. I was super confused to hear KFB push the 23 since he chose not to push Chevy to push a Toyota. Says Charlotte. Yep, it did seem like that at first, and so a lot of people were like Kyle Busch is trying to get into that 2311 extra charter and all that. So that was part of it. But then you found out that the other Chevrolet was Corey LaJoy. And so it was Kyle Busch taking an opportunity to be like, "Hey, Corey LaJoy, I'm going to go push this guy because he's not you." That's more of what I took out of it. But certainly the people that are like Kyle Busch to 2311, they're pushing that narrative. So it's all in what you make out of it. But to me, it was just Kyle Busch saying, "Hey, guess what? I'm just not going to help you, Corey LaJoy. How about that?" But then again, who was that Chevy to put? Hey, the Charlotte, you're on top of it. I should have read the next. I should have read the next comment that you put down there. Yeah, so it seemed more of to me it seemed more of a Corey LaJoy Kyle Busch deal than a Chevrolet Toyota deal. Chase Elliott had AAA on his Napa Auto Parts Chevy Camaro ZL1 1LE. Says in between lanes. Good point. I actually did at one point when I'd noticed that going through some of my research. I did mean to bring that up, but I didn't bring it up. Obviously, AAA has been synonymous with the 22 of Joey Logano. We've seen it over there on that car quite often. So it is interesting that they're doing sort of what Bass Pro Shops does now. They're also sponsoring Chase Elliott now as well. So that was a little interesting tidbit for sure. Gregson got his Gregson got his seventh top 10 on Sunday. Says one wise guy, yeah, complete turnaround from his or halfway rookie season of last year for sure. So hopefully he continues putting those good finish together. In Canada, we don't have USA Network, says Duke Chronic. Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what they switch it to in Canada. So not super. Maybe TSN. I have no idea. How TV works up there. Which is your favorite college football team? Says Ben Kluber. I'm a Duke football fan. Like I'm a Duke University fan. I used to work there. I grew up a Duke fan my whole life because I grew up in Durham, which is where Duke is at. So yeah, but they're not really great. I mean, they have had good seasons, but they've never done anything of note. I mean, they've gone to a few bowl games, but it's Duke football. It is what it is as far as that goes. And I wish them the best, and I always hope for them to do well. So for a long time, they were legitimately, like statistically, actually the worst college football team in college football. So to make college football interesting, I started pulling for the Oregon Ducks because they had Donald Duck on the side of their helmets back in the day, and the Hawaii Warriors. I pulled for them as well. So it was like Oregon, Hawaii, and Tennessee. Like where my mom worked at. That guy was he graduated from Tennessee with an engineering degree. He was super cool. He bought me like a Tennessee hat, like their actual baseball cap back in the day when he went up to visit his alma mater. So I pulled for Tennessee as well. So just sort of a combination of all that things. And then my first videography gig ever doing any type of videography work, which I promptly, because I was too young to handle the responsibility of it, promptly got myself fired. But that guy, I'm still friends with him, and he knows he knows the deal. He understood. But he was a Florida Gators fan, so I do like the Florida Gators. Go Gators, which is really weird when it comes to Florida and Tennessee. But I can pretty much just stay out of it because I just go. I go Oregon, then Tennessee, Florida. I just sort of tie right there, and then Duke above all of them. But you don't have to worry about Duke really doing anything, and Hawaii, you never really have to worry about them doing anything because even if they do something, they're never on TV. The only time Hawaii games are on TV is when it's like super late at night because of the time difference and stuff like that. And they do probably a lot more traveling than anybody else. So there you go. There is my ranking of college football teams, I guess you could say. And then pretty much anybody that's not UNC from North Carolina, if they're doing good, I'll pull for them. ECU, NC State, Coastal Carolina, pretty much anything North Carolina based. Let's see. Haley Deegan going to the 98 car, says Robert. Appears to be the case. So I mean, they basically softly broke that when they announced the Cole Custer thing that they had been talking to her. So we'll see. We'll see. Have they actually made that official yet? Let me let's see. I think it's still in the rumor mode, but that's what I've been predicting for a while. Yeah, a bunch of social media speculation, but nothing actually official yet. But it's I guess you could say it's officially unofficial that it's a good chance it happens. We'll put it that way. Good chance that it happens. I think they're probably waiting on Riley Herbst to announce where he's going to go in the Cup Series. Riley Herbst just cut a video with Noah Gregson for the college football 2025 EA Sports game. So maybe that fuels the fire that he's going to Front Row Motorsports as well. We'll have to see. A lot of people have him going to 2311, so we'll have to see how all that plays out. They bought the rights to the show NASCAR races, so they are obligated to show it in full, says Duke Chronic. I listened to Actions Detrimental, haven't seen Hamlin. That frustrated, says In Between the Lanes. I haven't heard it yet, but just I don't know, the way he worded his title as a YouTuber irritated me because if I put that in my title, it's going to get the yellow check because I've done it before. That's how I know this. It's going to get the yellow check of demonetization. So he irritated me the way he worded his title because he's got different rules he lives under apparently other than me. Which is not his fault, but it just irritated me because I can't do that. So it is what it is. Let's say so. I haven't listened to it yet because I'm being a petty little YouTube gremlin. Start giving the 11 car those 54 engines, says OJ and Toothpaste. All jokes aside, man, like that would make more sense because the 54 car needs to make the playoffs. Denny Hamlin is already locked in, so the 11 and the 20 they need to start getting the experimental engines, quote unquote, and stop giving them to Ty Gibbs because Ty Gibbs is getting on the cusp of being in danger of being on that cutoff line. BB, do you think NASCAR waited too long to throw the yellow for Priest? I do think they waited too long to throw it for sure. Because he hit the wall and stopped on the track. Yeah, I think they could have thrown it way sooner than that. I think they just wanted the race to be over with. I don't think I know a lot of people like, oh, they're benefiting Hendrick, and you can make that argument. You can also go back and look in past events like at Pocono last year, where Hendrick doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from NASCAR. NASCAR was just being inconsistent, and I think NASCAR just wanted that race to be over because they didn't want another Nashville. I think it was more about that than actually helping Hendrick. But obviously, the people that don't like Hendrick, I understand the argument that you're making that NASCAR was bending over backwards to help Hendrick. You can make that argument all day, but NASCAR is so inconsistent. You can literally make that argument both ways. You can show examples where it's hurt Hendrick. You can show examples where it's helped Hendrick, and for any other team in the Cup Series. And that's what I'm saying. NASCAR is just so inconsistent. It's hard to say that they're helping any one team consistently other than to say NASCAR is consistently inconsistent, and sometimes it helps you, sometimes it hurts you. And Ryan Blaney, once he got out of the race car, I should say, had probably the best take. It's just such incredibly bad luck, and that's what I'm frustrated about. Like he said, I just don't know what to be mad about. I'm just frustrated because it's such incredibly bad luck. So I thought that was probably the best take out of all of it. So that's kind of where I stand as well. I'm subscribed to Tyler Reddick as well, and Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Corey LaJoy, Kyle Larson, Sheldon Creed, along with John Hunter Nemechek, says In Between the Lanes. So there you go. Lots of those guys have them out there. And if you like the local short track guys, Butterbean, he's got one. Landon Huffman, everybody I feel like knows about that one. But if you don't, Landon Huffman's got one. It's another guy named Boo Carlisle who does a lot of street stock racing. He's got a really good YouTube channel for the local stuff. So there you go. And obviously Haley Deegan, sort of the in between. She's a touring series, but not the Cup Series yet. A little known channel, the Haley Deegan YouTube channel. Just joking. Let's see. Will Kyle Busch get payback on the 7, or is that just talk? Says OJ and Toothpaste. I think he'll have to be eliminated out of the playoffs before he actually pulls it, unless it's just such an easy thing to do that he can go ahead and do it. Noah Gregson as well says In Between the Lanes. Has a YouTube channel, is what Lanes is talking about. In Canada, all the races are on TSN, and it never switches, says John Ray. So there you go. That's the way it should be. So Canada's got that part of it figured out. So kudos to TSN and Canada. 18 teams of the Big Ten are going to do good this year, says Mark Varnum. There you go. I like what you did there. Not sure if I mentioned this on the previous live stream, but can we make Kyle Busch an automatic weekly guest on the Pat McAfee show? I think he's sort of got like an Aaron Rodgers deal where he can come on sort of whenever he wants to. So hopefully they keep that going. I'm with you. My favorite college football team are the Mickey Mouses, says William Wagaman. As a former AAA employee, it always cracked me up how they saw the need to diversify in membership and then sponsor the Tampa Bay Lightning and NASCAR, the two least diverse sports in the country. Do you consider the Brickyard 400 a crown jewel race? I do consider it a crown jewel race, and I've always considered it a crown jewel race. Even back in the day, like 1994, the very first one, when they were debating it, even back then, whether it's a crown jewel race. The way I judge crown jewel races is when you're a little kid and you're dreaming about winning races. What are the races you dream about winning? Hell yeah, that's on the list. Like I want to win Daytona, I want to win Darlington, I want to win, for me personally, Martinsville because it's closest to me, and you get the grandfather clock. You want to win the Brickyard because it's just a famous track. We were so stoked to even be able to get stock cars on the Brickyard. And then Talladega for me as well. Bristol would be another one for me. So I have some different ones. The Coke 600, that's a specific race at Charlotte. So I have specific ones that I would want to win, and it's the longest NASCAR race as well. So yeah, those would be sort of my crown jewels. And the Pepsi Firecracker 400 would have, so either race at Daytona back in the day, even though the Firecracker 400 no longer exists in the format that I would have considered it a crown jewel race. But yeah, for sure, Earth Two Yingling sponsor. That's how I guess that's how I would do crown jewels. My criteria is a little different than other people's. Earth Two Yingling sponsors KB, and he has several commercials where he wants to be called Kyle Yingling. That'd be pretty cool. Uh, Although Young Money Yingling, that would be good with Kyle Larson. I had a Yingling car somewhere, but I don't have it anymore. Ah man, I've got a Ty Dillon Yingling car, and it's a work of art. Like that's one of the best cars that I've got, and I thought it was down here, but it's not down here. Add Joe Logano as another subscription for me. He says in between the lanes. Yeah, so Jolo, he's got a YouTube channel as well. BB on the public sub, Magic and Gator Train. I absolutely love it. Almost a full fledged Floridian, and now we just need to convert you from the 5 to the 24. No, we're gonna convert you from the 24 to the 5. Just be a Hendrick fan. Just pull for both of them. So there you go. Let's see. How can you not like? I don't understand how you can be a fellow Kyle and not pull for both of the Kyles. Like they should be over top of Fast Willie B. I get it. I get it. You're a Gordon fan, possibly, allegedly. I don't want to put your business out there, but so you got to pull for the 24. Same reason that I'm going to be a Dylan fan. Whoever they put in that 3 car /29 car, I'm going to pull for that car, that driver. Same thing with the 43. But yeah, you got to get on Team Kyle. Kyle Weatherman, Kyle Sieg. Uh, uh, IndyCar Kyle Kirkwood. That's his name. That's the powerhouse team right there. Larson and Bush, obviously, everybody knows about them. So thinking about RFK next season and their alliances would pretty much make them a 6 car team. Do you think RFK will be the dormant Ford camp? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like RFK is picking up the slack. Although Front Row's got the Penske alliance as well, if I'm not mistaken. So they're Penske now. So Penske has yeah, so Penske has them and the Wood brothers. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 for Penske right there. And so RFK, I think you're going to see a tightening up of the alliance between RFK and Rick Ware Racing, and something come of that. So that would probably be my guess. So, but I think Ford will be good. I think Ford's good. I think Ford, a number of car wise, is where Toyota wants to be number of cars wise, and Chevrolet probably needs to get there as far as what they focus on to make all of their cars fast. Because if Hendrick ever has an off year, Chevrolet's in trouble. Chevrolet's in trouble because they're going to be down to Trackhouse, and they're going to be down to, is RCR good that year? Because we've seen years where RCR looks amazing, and we've seen years where RCR doesn't look great. So Chevrolet really needs to get more organized with their teams as well. Also, and whatever happens with Spire is a wild card. So we don't know what's going to happen with them next year. They seem to have a ton of money pouring in. Deegan would have been on the podium at Lime Rock had the lapper not turned down into her, says Mark Barnum. So appreciate you there, Mark Barnum. I was wondering what happened because I saw earlier in the race she was running really good, and then she still ended up pretty decent finish. 11th is not bad, but she was way higher up, so I did wonder what happened to her. And then of course her teammate gets a 5th place, so I knew the car wasn't destroyed. So obviously I knew she hadn't wrecked or anything like that. And I just found out that I've got that via my HBO subscription, so I could have watched it live. I just wasn't aware of it. So next time there's a Trans Am race I want to see, I will actually be able to watch it live. I was unawarest that my HBO Max, or I guess they just call it Max subscription, carries IMSA. Also, Bubba Wallace and YRB subscriptions as well for me, says in between the lanes. So, okay, I didn't know Bubba Wallace had one. I didn't know Ryan Blaney had one either. So there you go. I feel like everybody's getting into the YouTube game. They see the value in it now, and it's going to make it harder and harder for the regular YouTubers because they're just. I mean, who would you rather watch, me or Ryan Blaney? Let's just be honest. I know I'm more handsome, but he actually drives the car. That's a joke, by the way. In between the lanes, I drive the car better. Deegan as well says in between the lanes. So it's talking about who he subscribes to YouTube wise. What days will you put content out the next couple of weeks? Says Aaron Flynn. I'm going to try to do it like I normally do, just whenever there's news. I try to do it. I really try to do it every day throughout the week. And if there's anything that happens on the weekend and I'm not at the racetrack myself doing short track stuff, I'll try to put one out on the weekends. I really try to do them every day, but sometimes there's not enough newsworthy, so I try not to force it when there's not enough. I'll just wait for another story to come so I can combine them and stuff like that. So I try to keep it pretty consistent. I will try to keep it consistent as always. Let's see. Man, my virgin ears were offended listening to drivers' radios on Sunday. LOL says Bumstead. Yeah, welcome to the in-car communications. It's always colorful. NASCAR was scared they were going to have another 5 restart race because of the track being a fuel mileage race. Says Duke Chronic. I think so too. I think you're on it. Are you voting for soccer? Soxeris. I don't get into politics. There's a million YouTube channels about politics, so vote for who you want to. But I'm not going to talk about politics on this channel. Douglas Serrano, High Double B. It was cool to see the Brickyard 400 return. Yeah, for sure. I think everybody's pretty stoked about it being the oval track again. I don't get the help Hendrick accusations. They're the most winning team. They don't need help. I'd get it if they were like win 300 or something, but it's honestly nonsense. Yeah, it just everybody's like when that happens, everybody's like, oh, they're showing their Hendrick bias. What it actually shows is the bias of people that hate Hendrick, and I get it. If you hate Hendrick, I totally get it. Like the Jimmy Johnson era pretty much killed the ratings of NASCAR just because of how dominant he was during the Chad Knaus Jimmy Johnson era. They win too much, and you don't like them. I get it, 100%. I get it. Break Hard shouted out Nemechek for having over 1 million subscribers. Says in between the lanes, yeah. Congrats to him. He does a good job on his shorts content. I feel like that's where he gains most of his traction. Because I don't think his long form content is what's doing it for him. I don't think I've seen one go over maybe 20k views, but he'll figure it out. Should have. He's already figured it out. He just needs to figure out the long form side of it. Should have NASCAR taken that red flag and bring out fuel cans to each car and put a couple of gallons in because that's what we do here at the local sprint and late model red flag like, says William Wagman. That's probably a fair question to ask from here on out. Like we saw it with the rain delay and things like that. So maybe going forward with these multiple green, white checkers, nobody gains position, but everybody comes down pit road and you get, a full one full can of fuel so that it doesn't become a fuel mileage race because the race has gone longer in distance. Maybe that's something they look at going forward. I don't know. But then again, that's going to change strategy too. So I don't know. I don't really know what the answer is to it. BB, what do you think NASCAR should get rid of overtimes? Because every time we go to an overtime, it turns into a wreck fest and ruins good races. And we end up with bootleg winners, says Lovey Barkley. And that is the question. To be or not to be? That is the question, right? So here's the deal. Here's the two sides of it. There's the one side that's like NASCAR should go to the scheduled distance. And if the scheduled distance happens to be under caution, that is when the race ends because that is what the teams are. That was the goal of the teams coming into the race. You can't change the rules just because there's a caution at the end. Everybody planned on going this distance. That's the fair thing to do. And that's what should be done at the end of those races. And typically those fans are your old school fans that are used to things finishing under yellow. They don't have a problem with it. They're also used to single file restarts, so they wouldn't have a problem with that either. Like their solution to fixing what happened with Brad Keselowski is to say if it was a single file restart, it wouldn't have been an issue because the lap cars would have got a wave around if you didn't want them on the inside to finish this race. And the car that ran out of gas, the next car in line would have been Ryan Blaney. And since it's single file, he would have been no advantage would have been given to Kyle Larson. So that is their take on ending under caution. Theirs is nice and simple. They've got the proof of the past to point to. Then there's the other argument that I've paid money for my ticket. I want to see a race in under the green flag no matter what. And if you want to see the race in under the green flag, that's when you open up this conversation where you were just where somebody else was just speaking to. When we get X amount of overtimes, should they automatically get a splash of gas and nobody gets penalized for getting that splash of gas? Everybody stays in the order that they're in. Also, like how many overtimes, it gets into this conversation of how many overtimes do we go to before we give up? Do we put a cutoff line on the number of overtimes? We've had that before, it's been taken away. All kinds of questions come into play once you get into this conversation about overtimes, right? Overtimes non-traditional. We don't have as many data points as we have with traditionally, in the past at least, ending it under a yellow flag. And so, really, there's no right or wrong answer to it. Just one becomes far infinitely more complicated with green-white checkers, right? And infinitely more chaos with green-white checkers. Whereas if you end it under yellow, if you end it at the distance that it's supposed to go to and end it under yellow, it just becomes simpler and it becomes easier, especially if you go to single file restarts that end under yellow. Or you could do like back in the day, you did double file restarts into the last 10 laps. Then the last 10 laps, it's single file. So you could do that. So it just depends on how you want to go about your business. It's definitely a preference thing. There's no right or wrong answer, and just because one person wants to do it one way doesn't mean they're wrong, and just because one person wants to do it the other way doesn't mean they're wrong. And the obvious question that probably is going to be next is, don't be soft. Give us your opinion. What do you think? What is your preference? And I won't be soft. I'll give you my preference. I like it ending under yellow. I have no problem with the races ending under yellow. That being said, green, white checkers, I'm not throwing my hands in the air and stomping my feet on the ground. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. But if I had a preference, I would have the races end at the scheduled distance, and that's it. That's just the way it goes. So that's the way I look at it. But yeah, got off on a tangent there. But yeah, that's my look at it. It's how I would go about it. But certainly, if you're on the other camp, uh, I'm not stomping my feet into the ground like, oh, you're wrong. I'm not all about that life. A YouTuber, I got a ride in an Arca and did good, so a bigger team signed him. Tim Pool car. Hey, there you go, Tim Pool. He's got a skateboard channel. He also does politics. I could care less about the politics, but he does have a pretty cool skateboard channel called In the Boonies or something like that. The Boonies or something like that. So they do some pretty cool skateboarding content, which is how I found out about him. And then I found out it was a political channel, and I was like, I'm not going to talk about that. But it's cool that somebody's sponsoring a race car, so I'll give it that. Maybe with the race car, the Boonies becomes just like an action channel, or an action or extreme sports. I guess I'll say maybe it becomes an extreme sports channel. How Bristol night race isn't considered a crown jewel is beyond me, says Kyle. Say Kyle. Yeah, I consider Bristol a crown jewel as well. I'm with you on that one. BB, we are able to watch your races on Flow. Says Bumstead. Yeah, so the ones at South Boston are always on Flow. I don't know. I feel like at Orange County they're televised, but I don't know what it is. I think it's Speed Sport that televises Orange County, so you can watch those on Speed Sport. But Flow, I feel like Flow's the better overall deal. Uh, Overall, which the guy at Speed Sport's not going to be happy I said that, but it is what it is. I'm not sponsored by anybody, nor do I choose to be at any point in the future. I like saying what I like saying. So yeah, I feel like Flow's the better deal. So whenever we're racing at South Boston, you can always catch it on Flow. Kyle, the Golden Boy Larson says, I do chronic. It depends on the week. Week to week, there's a different Golden Boy, and that's what Dale Jr. said on his show today. If you want playoff chaos, how about Austin Dillon winning at Daytona August 24th? Says Bruce Carvey. It's happened before. He's won. He's won at Daytona before, so he is one to cause chaos. He no doubt about it. He is he's good. He's good for a win just about like every other year or so, or every 2 years. He's good for a win, and that's one of the reasons I like him. Like he's good enough to win races, even as much hell as he catches. He is good enough to win races, which is funny. Everybody's like, "Oh, he's the worst driver ever." He's got a truck championship and he's got an Xfinity championship and he's got some pretty big NASCAR Cup Series wins. And everybody's like, "Oh, that dude can't drive." I was like, "He's driven good enough to win at least a few races." So it is what it is. Let's see. The William Wagaman, the opposite perspective of what I just elaborated. The only race that Austin Dillon is going to win this year is beating the garbage truck out of Richard Childress Racing this season, says William Wagaman. So William Wagaman taking the opposite approach that I took there. Should NASCAR have given, and that's the beauty of sports, should NASCAR have given the white flag on lap 159 and thrown the caution coming out of turn 2 on the last lap if they ended up going into overtime? I mean, they should have. I don't know exactly what the lap count was, but if you're talking about the Ryan Priest wreck, yeah, they had plenty of time to throw the caution for Ryan Priest. That in my opinion, probably should have been a caution. But I'm not disappointed that they ended the race because I don't think you gain anything by having five more restarts and 10 more people running out of gas and wrecking. It's just, and I don't necessarily think that it really would have changed the leader or the winner of the race because I feel like Kyle Larson still had more gas than the rest of them. Let's see. Do you still consider it a crown jewel when they were running the Indy road course? No, I don't. No, the road course I wouldn't consider a crown jewel. I think it would still be really cool to win it, kiss the bricks, get the trophy, and all that good junk. But no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't consider that a crown jewel at that time. No, and I like road courses, but it's just not. It's just not the same. BB, you gonna do who makes it into the Sweet 16 video? I might. I might. I feel like it's pretty cut and dry though. The last person in is going to be one of three people, so or one of four people if a rando outside of not a rando, but somebody outside of the top 16 can win. I like Kyle Larson. Have three Larson diecast, one signed. Dad is good friends with Larson from the Ganassi days. I like Larson. But you got the Gordon Byron 24 link on the money. Says say Kyle. Yeah, I understand. I understand. I'm the same way with the 3 and the 43. And whoever drives the off car for it's Kyle Busch right now, so it makes life easy because I was already a Kyle Busch fan because of the first name, strong first name. But yeah, whoever drives the other car, whether it be the 8, the 33, 31, like whatever else RCR is running. Trackhouse has went from a B plus performance to about C this year. Hopefully they can find some speed that Hendrick has after the break, says Dirty Def. Yeah, I'm with you. All the Chevrolet teams except for Hendrick are a little bit off this year. And I think it shows you that the car itself is just aging and that Ford and Toyota, their designs are just so much better right now. And Hendrick Motorsports is winning on the sheer fact that they just do stuff really good. But even them, I don't think they're as good raw speed wise as they have been in the past. Let's see. Accelerator. Oh yeah, so Wise Guy posting the link, the merch link. So if you want to visit the merch store, it is there's the link for it right there. Also, if you want to join us on the Discord, he has posted that as well too. Going to the throwback at Hickory, says Krusty. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about going to it. So we'll see. If I go, I'm going to tote the camera there. So if you're out there, holler at me. And if you see the camera, I'll try to get you on camera if you want to be. If you want to be on the show. If not, I understand that too. But I'll still talk to you either way. Always love to meet the people because I can't see you when we're talking, so I always love to meet everybody I'm talking to. HMS sucks is like this, like, dude, that is a sweet fire chicken in the background. I much appreciated. So talking about the it's always in reverse. Talking about the old Firebird fire chicken back there. Thanks, Krusty. What did you think about the Pow Pow thing in Pennsylvania with Trump? Says Sakaroos. I think no matter who you pretty much universal what everybody thinks about it. Nothing spicy, but that's the wrong way to go about politics. You don't want to eliminate a candidate, no matter who you're voting for or who you lean toward. So I thought that was a stupid event. Another black eye in the reality TV show that is now American politics. Unfortunately, nothing reality TV show wise will beat the last 16 years of American politics. It's been an absolute crap show. I believe Breakard went to the Brickyard and the Indianapolis Raceway Park. Says in between lanes. He was on site for sure. I did see him say that. I agree. Like just like throwback looking a little light this year. Says Krusty. Yeah, they're not doing too many of them. It used to be. I knew eventually it would happen. They're not as it's not as fun as it once was. Maybe they should do the throwback like the Olympics. You do it once every 4 years. Isn't there an IROC race coming this summer, or did that get canceled? They're doing an exhibition race, and I think it's either next week or the week after that. Wienermobile needs that Hawk Tua girl driving it around, says Bumstead. How much money has she made off of that just random viral moment? Good for her. Tyler Reddick has been so close these couple of weeks. Lots of speed, says OJ and Toothpaste. Yeah, don't sleep on Tyler Reddick, man. Like a few things bounce one way or the other, and that guy's got 5 or 6 wins himself. So Tyler Reddick's to me, he's been just eyeball. I without the numbers, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The last 5 or 6 races, Tyler Reddick's been pretty much the man to beat, even though he hasn't won, even though he's been the bridesmaid. On that note, did they get bailout money from the government like a lot of NC tracks? If they did, what did they use it on? Says Krusty, they did get some of the North Carolina track money, and they spent it on the infield toilet area, which was something that they definitely needed to spend it on. Hickory Motor Speedway's infield toilet was one of the grossest things that I've ever been to in my entire life. So the fact that that's where at least some of the money went to, good job, Kevin Piercy. Money well spent as far as that goes, because that thing was an absolute nightmare to go visit as a pit crew member. Let's see. I think Xfinity Series should race at IRP over the Brickyard track. And fun fact: Kevin Piercy, who runs Hickory Motor Speedway, Lane Riggs is engaged to his daughter. So there's your Hickory Lane Riggs link. Just in case you didn't know that. Hope KB can recover from a frustrating season he's having so far after the Olympic break, says Douglas Serrano. I hope so too, man. At some point, I want to see the bad luck stop happening for Kyle Busch. Well, I mean, some of it has been his fault, but some of it has legitimately been bad luck. So hopefully it ends at some point. Mark Barnum going Hawk Tua for president. Those shirts are pretty popular. I saw Iceberg. He had a hat or a T-shirt one for Hawk Tua 2024. I think for green white checkers, NASCAR should restart with the flagman. Don't give the leader lane choice and the start of the green white checker, says Duke Chronic. I mean, that would be one way of going about it. Like I said, I don't really think about that because there's so many aspects to it that you could change. I'm still let's just finish it at the race distance, but that's just the camp that I'm in. I'm okay with the green white checkers too, but once you get into the green white checkers, you open up a more complex set of rules that are needed to be had. Roll Coal Chrome Diesel, says Krusty. Add Stenhouse Jr. to the NASCAR YouTuber list for me. I didn't know Stenhouse had one, so I'm going to check that one out. What's up, BB and crew? BB looking like he just went and played 18 holes of golf. I've never played 18 holes of golf in my life. Even when I go to play 18 holes of golf, I give up halfway through and just work on the 18 pack. You got to spit on it, says Krusty. How about double file restarts, but eliminate the choose feature? First place gets choice only, and that's it, says Jamie Schweitzer. That would certainly make things less difficult, and that's how it was back in the day. The lead car chose what lane it wanted to start in, and that was that. Everybody else just filled in after that. Problem with scheduled distance and yellow is the position freeze. If we had to race to the yellow, it wouldn't have made sense, says Chrome Diesel. True. I'm here for the chaos. Love the unlimited attempts and the risk of running out of fuel if races go beyond the advertised distance. And yeah, and that's a fair point. Like, some people are there for the chaos. They just want once you get into overtimes, they just want to see maximum chaos and carnage, as many wrecked cars as possible without anybody getting injured. Just absolute maximum chaos. And you get like Carl Long wins the race because everybody else wrecked out. BJ McLeod wins the race because everybody wrecked out. That's maximum chaos, unlimited restarts. With Haas selling their charters, do you think those charters will keep those numbers or rebrand? Hard to imagine the 4 or the 14 not running around the track. Says one wise guy. Well, he's keeping the 41. So the Haas, Cole Custer is going to run the 41. So we know that. As far as the rest of the numbers, I don't know. I don't know who's going to get the number 4 and all that. It'll be interesting to see. Front row has said that they're not married to any numbers, so front row might be the ones that are grabbing some of those numbers. Green white checkered allows for 40 more commercials, says Krusty. So hey, there you go. That could be playing into it as well. Easiest fix to NASCAR is dump stage racing and let them race. Put some real strategy back into the racing. Blaney putting in the work these 2 weeks at Menards along with Cindric, Crafton, and Jones. Indeed. And Menards is a pretty good activation because typically if they're near a Menards at the racetrack, you'll see one of the drivers there signing autographs out of Menards for some of their pre-race deals. NASCAR needs to completely revamp their leadership. No doubt about that, T-Van. I agree with you 100%. Is Earth 2 NASCAR racing a sport in the Olympics this year? LOL, says OJ and Toothpaste. No, but the Olympics are a sport in NASCAR on Earth 2 because everything's backwards. So NASCAR would be bigger than the Olympics, but we would allow the Olympics to compete before the races on Earth 2. Cody Ledger, happy Tuesday, everyone. If we have some free time this week, I'm going to see how many races the winner has changed from advertised race distance to green, white, checkered. Brad K would have been the winner on Sunday. Agreed, Cody Ledger. And Brad K even tweeted that out. He said, we won the Brickyard 400, and unfortunately we didn't win the Brickyard 406 or whatever like that. So pretty good response from BK. I liked his response there. Very wise with what he said there. Said a lot without saying without using a lot of words. Amen. T Van says, Krusty, I can't help but question the ECR engine this season. Hendrick building their own engines may be the difference. In the past, I might could have agreed with you, but they basically share notes, and they're all building the same engine now. It's ECR and Hendrick under Chevrolet made them basically unite and share notes, so it's all the same engine. No matter who you buy it from now, it's all the same stuff. Let's see, skipping that one, Sockosaurus. Word may take you up on that. We used to always mark throwback race on the calendar. I got to meet Dave Marcus, and he was wearing wingtips. Yep, that's old Dave Marcus's go-to. It's hard to consider a crown jewel when you have little to no build-up, says Chrome Diesel. Indeed. So hopefully NASCAR gets on the ball and learns how to pump up the races in this new era. 100% T Van says Chrome says like dislike. Nemechek and Jones working at Family Dollar and Dollar Tree 2 weeks along with Jimmy Johnson. Moment of silence for the ladies. If a dude was saying a bathroom is awful, I can't imagine what the ladies had to deal with. Says Say Kyle. I can tell you from working in food service in a nightclub, the ladies' bathroom is actually always worse than the men's. 100%. The Brickyard was scheduled for 160 laps, but NASCAR threw the caution on lap 159 for the 8 and the 11. Instead of the white flag, they didn't extend the race so it wouldn't end under yellow. Says Timber Race. What do you think about? And I don't disagree with you, but like I said, NASCAR is so inconsistent. Like you can point to a million times they've done it one way. You can point to a million times they did it another way. What do you think about Toyota engine issues like the last few prior weeks? They're not known to expire, says one wise guy. Yeah, and it seems to just be the 54 car, so it makes me wonder if they're pushing something over there or what. Krusty, laughing my butt off. Okay, bet it wasn't as bad as Franklin County bathroom, literally relieving yourself on the floor, says Krusty. Oh, but brother, let me just take a moment to talk about Franklin County since we're on the topic. Franklin County looks like a racetrack that exists after the apocalypse has happened. Now, nothing against Langley Austin and everybody up there that runs it, but by God, that track needs as much help as it can get. If money ever needs to be poured into a racetrack, it needs to be poured into that one because they have a really good racetrack. It probably needs to be repaved or at least patched at some point, but the racetrack itself is good. As far as putting on a good race, an exciting race for the fans, it's everything else about Franklin County. The fan amenities are awful. All of the bathrooms inside and out are terrible. It looks like if you've ever seen the Lost Racetracks show that Dale Jr. used to do, that's what Franklin County looks like, except they're still having races there. So that somebody that likes racetracks, they need to invest some money, help out Langley Austin, invest some money in that racetrack and get it back up to functioning, working order where it should be because they do have a good racing surface that puts on good races. Work on the 18 pack golfing, some Miller Lights or Coors. Definitely as far as that goes, I'm working on some Coors. I'm not I never got into them. I tried Miller Light, couldn't get into it. I liked Genuine Draft better than I liked Light. Anyhow, I appreciate your channel. Burger, everybody give this guy a like and follow. Look for you, Hickory. If we make it, says Krusty. Much appreciated. So I'll look for you out there if I go. If not, I will at least be watching it on Flow. 50-50 as it stands right now. We're tracking the weather and my regular schedule as well. I would like to see a British born driver win a NASCAR National Series race. That's never been done before, says Douglas Serrano. Yeah, that would be pretty cool for sure. Are all the charters of SHR spoken for? Or are there still? I think there's still two up there. People are just assuming that they're going to Trackhouse and 2311. Hey, sock, put a sock in it, says Jamie Schweitzer. What are your takeaways from Sunday? Anything surprise you, good or bad? Not really. It kind of played out sort of the way I expected it to play out. Can you do a poll if Indy is a crown jewel? Says like dislike. I mean, I could, but I feel like this poll question is more interesting. So maybe the next live stream, I'll put that one up there. That'll be a good one to ask because this will be a recency bias. So next week, that'll actually be a good one to ask. Can you, let's see, they should have ran the races on the Sci-Fi Channel. WWE is Monday's show is going to be on Sci-Fi Channel. Says PC going rogue. My guy Colton Herta won Indy GP in Toronto. Sock, keep it mellow. We're here for racing, says one wise guy. Indeed. Politics. There's a million YouTube channels for politics if you want to do politics. I used to have clean bathrooms for work too. Ladies' room being the worst. It's 1,000% correct. There you go, Kyle. You're on it, my man. Bruce Garvey saying, watching Jimmy Johnson after leaving Hendrick. Should we stop calling it the Jimmy Johnson era and call it the Chad Knaus era? Says Bruce Garvey. Hard to say, man. It's a team sport. So you can make the argument that Jimmy, he was losing it toward the later half of his careers anyway, whether it could be his eyesight or whatever was going on. He just wasn't the same Jimmy Johnson. So you can make that argument because even with Chad Knaus at the end, he wasn't doing anything. And then Chad Knaus with William Byron, you've seen what William Byron is doing now. Chad Knaus with William Byron wasn't tearing up the world winning races either. So you can make the argument both ways. All I can tell you is that when those two were together and those two were both at the height of both of their powers, they were unbeatable. They were unbeatable, just about, at least very nearly unbeatable. I worked as a janitor, as a janitor for Walmart for a minute. Definitely, women's restrooms are nasty compared to the men's restrooms. Hey, there you go. Sorry, ladies, you're being exposed here today. Exposed on the live stream. Clean up your bathroom. It's not. Don't make it that bad for the employees of a facility. I love the Winnebago on cinder blocks in the backfield on the way past the the random trailer at Franklin County. Good time, says Krusty. Yeah, so Franklin County does get into the political realm for sure, as far as that goes, and I'll leave it at that. What did you think about Aaron Rodgers going to Egypt to ski for minicamp? I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, man. He knows what he needs to do to win football games. I have no problem with veterans not reporting to camp. I never had a problem with it when it was Brett Favre or any other veteran not reporting to OTAs. Which Cup track would you like to see resurface? I'd like to see Bristol go back to its original configuration when you had to root people off the bottom of the racetrack. That would probably be the one I want to see resurfaced the most. Southside Speedway, says Krusty. Hopefully they get Southside going. I know there's some interest in it, so hopefully they can get it going again. I know Denny Hamlin has expressed some interest in helping out with that one as well. That's a place. That's a place that I would like to go myself. So hopefully they can get it back opened up. Worked with a guy named Brian Pimbleton and his son Landon Pimbleton. Landon Pimbleton just finished fourth. He qualified 21st and he started 30 something. Because I guess they made adjustments after the qualifying deal, but in the Hampton Heat up there at Langley, and he ended up finishing fourth. So I want to give him a shout out. Great race for them. But his dad, Brian Pimbleton, he started out his career at Southside Speedway. So it's a track I've always wanted to go to. Great family, good driver. Hopefully he gets some more shots at the next level. He's driven an ARCA, and he did good there. So yeah, I'd love to go to Southside. OJ, will the Jets make the playoffs? Says Mark Barnum. Byron does get credit Chad for setting him up where he is now. Said he made him more accountable and whatnot, made him show up to the shop super early and would be in trouble if he wasn't 15 minutes early. So yeah, Chad has a system, and that system you can tell irritated Jimmy, but when Jimmy was in that system, it helped him. And I think Jimmy's ability to actually talk back to Chad actually helped Chad, because I don't think in that era anybody was talking back to Chad except for Jimmy Johnson. You sort of needed that yin and yang, and you got to have. It's so strange. The dynamic has to be perfect, and that's in all sports. It's not just racing, but you have to have. You also have to almost have perfect opposites, or you have to have two guys that think the exact same, and that's the only way it works. Like, honest to God, only way it works. What do you think the NASCAR Media Center's purpose will be? Do you think they're going to streaming route and testing with Amazon? Oh yeah, They're going to learn a lot from Amazon. So they're building that media center for a reason. They're gonna talk about. They're going to do a lot of stuff from Charlotte, no matter where the race is at. That's the way it's going to go. I just hope that they still have the announcers at the racetrack, no matter what happens. Yes, BB, get rid of the concrete at Bristol. Mark Barnum saying LOL. Live 5 minutes from Southside Speedway, says Krusty. Okay, so you're not super far. You're not super far from me. When Ross took the lead briefly, I pictured him smashing a watermelon on the bricks. Says Camaro 50. For sure. You're probably like 2 to 3 hours probably from me, Krusty. Let's see. Are you doing a live on Sunday since there's no racing for 2 weeks? Probably not, but I will try to have some content. I will try to have some content for Sundays. I hope the Jets make the playoffs. I'm a Jets fan. All 400 cars have wins this year, says Douglas Serrano, for sure. Bristol gets a retractable roof for the 2030 season on Earth 2. That would be dope. I think more tracks need retractable roofs. Um, let's see. Jamie on Earth 2, yes, says OJ and toothpaste. Differently agree with old time Bristol. I definitely agree with old time Bristol. Yeah, old school Bristol was awesome. 100%. You just had to root people off the bottom, and it just made for a great race. Probably my favorite race there was the one that Alan Kowicki won. That was probably one of my favorite races. Probably like 90, 91, 92, somewhere in there. I'm guessing, but that was my favorite race there. Let's see here. Final poll question. Martin Truex Jr. wins 38%. Baby Gibbs 26, 31% for KFB. And Bubs getting 5%, 61 votes. Much appreciated. It looks like we've reached the end of the stream. So I'm going to check you guys next time to get to work on some content for the rest of this week. Hopefully, I'll have at least 3 or 4 episodes out this week and hopefully one on Sunday as well. So until then, peace. Are you going to get rid of the Fiats? I'm going to race. I'm going to at least race the Fiat one time, and you'll see what that's going to be about. But other than that, there's really nothing to update about it. But if we get enough time, I'll try to slide like a little extra in there. Maybe do a short on it. And it's going to be nothing spectacular of what's going on with the Fiat, but I'll try to give you a little bit of an update. Maybe do a little ride around on it or something. I don't know. All right, I'm out.